We improve on those apartments by forcing the appreciation. We help to provide good amenities for the residents in there, because if you keep the residents happy and you give them a good quality of life, they will not mind if you have to increase the rent a little bit, because they've seen that you put in the money back into stuff that is servicing them.
Hello, and welcome back to another rendition of the Passive Millionaire Next Door, where we discover how to create multiple income streams from investing in passive opportunities, such as multifamily real estate, commercial funds like warehouses and factories, healthcare commercial. Today, we have a special guest, Dr. Holt, and she is with ProMerit Capital. And we are so happy to have her here. And I'll just show you real quick her website so everyone can go check it out, and definitely shoot her a line and connect with her. And we'll go back and show you how you can connect to her directly. But let's just, without further ado, let's bring her in. Hello, Dr. Holt. How are you today?
Good morning, David. Thank you for having me. And wonderful. I hope you're doing the same.
Great. So we'll just jump straight into it. I know you're a busy real estate investor, busy physician, busy mother. So how do you do all that? How did it start? And how can we be like you?
Thank you, David. It's a long story. I'm going to try to make it short. So I came into United States, and I had 2 children as a single parent, and I have to survive. And I'm an immigrant. And so things were not taught to us how we're going to survive when we come into this country. We have to figure it out. So trying to figure that out, first trying to get my education as aligned with the American system, which means I have to evaluate my transcript and then start working. It is a very long and tough journey, but it's the resilience, it's the determination that helps to sustain me, and the fact that I have those 2 children that I knew I had to provide for. So I started doing first teaching in high schools after I evaluated my transcript. Then I worked as a child protective specialist. Then I started learning computers, and I did IT. I did Cisco, got a job as a Cisco certified professional. But coming to United States, I've always had it in my mind that I wanted to do medicine. And everybody's told me that America is a land of opportunity. You're only limited by your own motivation. So the fact that I wanted to do medicine back home, but I couldn't because of the corrupt system, I had it at the back of my mind that whenever I have the opportunity to do it, I'm going to go ahead and become that physician, because I have a why. My why has always been to serve people in all aspects of life. I wanted to become a physician so that I can help people. I lost a sister shortly after I came to the United States, which should not have happened. That helped to drive my why some more. And I just felt that my calling is to help people in all aspects of life. I came from a third world country where there's no water, there's no electricity, the air you breathe in is very polluted. That has been my why. I wanted to be able to have enough to provide for people in those kind of countries clean water, clean air, food, electricity, good health, excellent health. I made a vow to myself that one day when I become a physician, I will have like a mobile clinic and go to all these third world places and provide them free healthcare. Now, having have that why, I know that I have to make some amount of money even though at the time I wasn't aware of charity organizations. Even after I became aware of charity organizations, it has to start from me first. I have to have some way of starting this, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do it with my income, even after I became a physician, because I'm now slapped with a high tax bracket. And I'm figuring, oh my God, what did I get myself into? So then I became a physician thinking, oh, I've made it. And then the first year, my accountant told me, well, Dr. Holt, you're making quite an amount of money here. If you don't start to make this quarterly tax payments, at the end of the year, you're going to be slapped with a tremendous amount of money. And if you try to make a payment plan, you're still going to be paying interest on that money. I'm like, they didn't teach us all of this in medical school. How on earth am I going to pay all this loan back with this tax that I'm paying? Well, Dr. Holt, you are a high net worth individual. So that began my race. My race began at that point. How do I make it? Take care of my at the time, two children. Then I added another one. How do I take care of my three children? Pay off my school loan. Then I added a mortgage because, oh, I have to live the American dream that I'm a physician, I'm supposed to buy a house. When a house is actually a liability to me at the time, but I had no idea. So I started learning little by little, how do the wealthy do it? How do they manage to stay wealthy? What are the things that I need to do? So I learned that the wealthy don't rely on a salary. Oh my God, no salary? Okay. So how do I do it? I have to create streams of income, I was told. Streams, not just one, two, three, four, five, six. How do I do that? Well, learning. You got to learn. You have to learn, but you have to be determined, because if you're not, everything is in vain. Your why has to be greater so that you can achieve everything that you wanted to achieve. So that's how I started in real estate.
So wonderful. I find the interesting story of like, when I was growing up, my parents are always like, become a lawyer, become a doctor. Like everyone thinks that a lot of, I think American kids are told that lawyer or doctor and you'll be set. But a lot of physicians, I'm starting to understand, they're kind of in a tough spot. They're working more and more hours ever and more and more. And the more hours you work, no matter what the paycheck is, that seems to decrease, how much that paycheck is valued to you. And also, can you talk a little bit about, your work-life balance as a physician and how real estate has helped you really kind of change that and make it better? And what are some tips for, physicians kind of just starting out like you did?
So what I'm going to tell anybody starting out is what I said previously. You have to have multiple chains of income. And by far, the most important one is the one that is resilient to any kind of inflation or economic situation, which is the real estate. It's a reliable investment. It keeps cash flowing monthly. You can have tax deduction benefits from it. You can grow equity, and you can create generational wealth from real estate. All the learning that I've done all these years have led me to believe that that is one investment that can never fail. Stock market is a roller coaster, as we know it. Some you win, some you lose. But real estate, people are always going to need housing. It's a necessity of life. So if anybody is looking to do any kind of investment to improve their lifestyle, be it have some other income, improve their standard of living, or provide for later when they retire, real estate is the key and is the vehicle to get there.
Wonderful, wonderful. So can you kind of give us a little background in your previous investments, maybe like the ones when you've walked a property and you're like, oh, heck no, I'm not buying this. There's no way. And like what you've looked for in properties, maybe what your criteria is, kind of a little helpful hint as for people who are starting out what they should be looking for in these apartments or multifamily buildings?
So the first thing I'm going to tell anybody is do not get into multifamily real estate investment without getting adequate knowledge. Otherwise, you will lose your money. And if you syndicate that multifamily, you stand the risk of losing your investors' money also. I will never, ever do this without going through the education that I've gone through. And even before I became an operator, I invested passively while I'm learning. Now, as an operator, there are certain things we look for in apartment buildings. First, can that apartment building and the people living there, can they support the growth? Which means if somebody's income cannot support the increase in rent, why would we want to put that kind of resident in that place? So first we have to look for an apartment that is going to cash flow very well so that people's return on their investment is not lost but actually increased. So we have criteria that we go after, which we call our buy box. Our buy box, my personal buy box with my company is it has to be a Class B or Class C building in a very good location. I never ever trade location for however good the property is, because location is everything. So we find good location, we find a good property, we improve on those apartments by forcing the appreciation. We help to provide good amenities for the residents in there, because if you keep the residents happy and you give them a good quality of life, they will not mind if you have to increase the rent a little bit, because they've seen that you're putting the money back into stuff that is servicing them.